I'm
speedrunning?
not. I was at the beginning, but not anymore.
No, I'm looking at through the Google Plus thingy.
Okay, so there's actually 4 people watching us right now. And if you guys are watching us on there, if you put a comment on the web page right there on YouTube, it will we can see that. So if you need to know how to get in here, we can tell you how to do that. But Luke, why don't you let's talk about who are you?
My name's Luke. I live in northern Wisconsin. Like SWOTOR, there's not much to say about me. My character's name is Refrith. Right now I'm playing the server Ajunta Paul. Kind of took a hiatus from the game for a little while. Talk about that. And why I'm back and things like that. And that's pretty much it about me.
All right. What about you, Wasim?
Well, I'm Wasim. I'm from Brussels, Belgium. I have several characters on the game. I'm quite enjoying it a lot. I started on a French-speaking server. I did several sorcerer. I deleted several because after going to 20, I didn't like their faces anymore. So basically, I had to to do it again all over. But anyhow, and now I am on an English server. I have a level 50 Imperial Agent. I really enjoyed the story there. Really funny, and yeah, it's something really different from being a sorcerer, being just a normal person, you would say. And now I am leveling again a sorcerer. In fact, I waited to level again a sorcerer because I wanted to have a Mira Luca sorcerer. Now I can, and I'm leveling it, and hopefully I'll be able to be level 50 with that soon. But yeah, I enjoyed the game. Really fun.
Awesome. And Andy Scott just left a comment. Why don't you get in here, Andy? We need you.
Slacker.
Let me look here. I'll introduce myself in a second. There's Andy. Come on. I'm going to send you an invite. Let's see if it hits your stream. Anyway, well, I'm Mike Norton. I started this whole Hangout thing way back in September of 2011 before the game got started and Google opened up all this stuff, and we thought it was really cool. And we had quite a few people for a long time participating. We had people in the wings. We had full 10 people in the hang-ups or hangouts. It was really fun. And right now, I haven't been playing the last 2 or 3 weeks, but I've got 350s, and most of them are tanking class, kind of mixed between both sides, working with a leveling partner and having just a good time in the game. But right now, just taking a small break, and so when we got the opportunity to do this, it really was exciting because our last hangout was on January 23rd. And what kind of happened is we had a lot of people before, when the beta was going on, and the closed beta in particular, a lot of people were interested in the game, and we would come and talk, and several people who were in the hangout were in the beta. Of course, we were tight-lipped and not breaking NDA, but talking about some of the things that we could do. And so people were really wanting that information. But once the game came out, everybody got busy leveling. And didn't have time to come to the hangouts, so it kind of died. And on the 23rd of January, that's when we kind of put her to bed for a while, and we said we'd come back, and then Google goes and opens up OnAir for everybody, making this really cool that we can get this stuff out for us all. So here we are. We got this hangout. We're getting some comments now. You guys got to also bear with me. This is all new using the OnAir system. I'm using a little app that's called Comment Tracker, which lets me trace several posts. So when people post in there, we get stuff coming in so I can see what's happening. Instead of like in Twitch where you had the chat deal, Don says, hello, he would like to join, but he's got a crappy laptop with no mic and camera. So yeah, that would just be text, Don, but Don was on here quite a bit in the past, and he says this is better than Twitch TV, so I'm glad of that. We'll hope to see what we can do. But tell me about what do you think the state of the game is right now for you? What is it that you said you took a break, Luke, and why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, I'll talk about. So I played pretty heavily when the game came out in the beta. for the first few months. I think I played. When did the game come out again? I don't even remember. That was December, right before Christmas, wasn't it?
December
22nd
20
or 23rd,
was it
20th?
the
I don't
20th or
know.
22nd? Yeah.
The beta is kind of
22nd.
merged in there too.
Oh, we had
So.
Head Start before then, but yeah, it was the official was December 20th
Mhm.
in there. Yeah, sorry guys, our facts aren't here with us.
But I played pretty heavily the first few months, and I think I just played too much, and I was playing with some friends, and then they kind of quit, and then I quit. Also, went back to another MMO for a few months,
Which
just
one
because
is
of
that?
the you know which one, that one right there on your wall.
Oh, what?
I went
I
back to
won't
that
admit
for.
that I played it a little bit in the last few months either.
I played it. I keep going back to that game. That was my 11th account in that game. So just
Oh,
keep
wow.
quitting and keep going back, and I finally quit that just because I play too much, and then I get burned out, and it's like, oh, I need a break from this, and I quit. Now I've just kind of rethought about what games I want to play over the next year and down the road, and I've thought, oh, if I just don't do the things that I get really burnt out with, I'll probably enjoy SWTOR more. So I decided, well, I used to do a lot of PvP, so I was grinding up, got to, I don't know, rank 55 in war zones in January or something like that, and then I, I, I was just getting bored, kind of a sense, and some things were frustrating me, and I know they were addressing issues, and so I took a few months break and came back, and now I'm just deciding not to do PvP heavily and kind of just enjoy the game for what its strengths are, which are, leveling, the story, things like that. So I've kind of decided I'm not going to burn myself out, not play way too much. I'm going to play casually, just play one character, not worry about getting a high rank in war zones, not worry about getting end game operations gear, things like that. I'm just going to kind of play my one character and enjoy it, and I'm going to I think I'm going to kind of be a completionist and kind of do all the achievements and kind of collect, pets and all
Well,
the
that's
little
something
side things. Just kind of a fun thing and kind of just stick to one character and not have a lot of other things bogging me down via alts and other games and things like that. So.
Yeah, okay. I understand exactly how it is. That's kind of how I did. We got rushed to 50, redeemed. Our guild had we've actually they still have a great end game program going on. I think we've got two groups that are doing stuff. I started to do it, but I actually started to burn out really quickly, and I pulled back. And actually, I've been enjoying just going back and taking my time leveling. And leveling with a friend, and so that's helped, and it's just really kept the game fresh for me. But I'm not really in any rush to do the end game anymore or burn myself out on that. Just enjoying it and seeing, the different aspects, the different classes, and the different ways of doing things, with Cloakra and stuff like that. So, What about you, Asim?
Well, I am also a completionist. But for example, this is the first time. It is my second MMO. My first was not the other game. It was Warhammer Online.
Oh,
I
wow.
played the other. I played the other game just for about 1 hour, and it was just a bit not my style. So I stopped there and never went back.
Okay.
Here, in fact, it's for example, one thing I like is the legacy thing, the legacy system, because it is the first time I made an alt, and somehow it helps me with my first character. I'm really a severe completionist. For example, I'm still playing Morrowind. I never actually finished it. I bought the expansion, if you can believe that. I never went there because I didn't finish all the quest possibles in the mainland, and I have the same kind of problem here. But have the good thing is with Legacy, I am more inclined to do a bit of some alts and try everything. And it's really interesting the way that the way you feel when you see the story from the eyes of an Imperial agent is really different. And from my sorcerer, you get the my lord thingy, and Imperial agent, you can be happy if someone take the time to address you at all. So really, it's good to have the possibility to see more of the game And what I really would like in the future is, for example, more of the things, the achievement that would be more legacy related than your character. That would be awesome. I would love to have that because I don't I don't want to do 8 times the going to fill my codex, for example. I love that doing it, but I'm so intent on completion that I have to do it on all my characters. Really, yeah.
Yeah, I understand that.
So I've cut back to one character.
I'm the opposite. I had to actually. I was very glad when 1.2, and I want to talk about that. How you guys feel about what 1.2 brought to the table. But one of the things it did for me is it allowed us to first have guild banks, and I was able to delete a character that was one of our guild mules, and then I also deleted another character so I could free up spaces. And I've actually got I think only 1 or 2 slots open, and the rest are alts on one server. And I actually have a tune or 2 on another server that I play on. So I'm very much an altaholic, and I think the neat thing is, like you guys have both said, the one interesting and strong point that TOR I think has done really well. There's some things that I think they're missing, but there's not any games that have it right now, and who knows if they ever will. But some of the strong point things is that the fact that there is something for everybody. Now, some people are going to bemoan and say no because maybe they're a hardcore PvPer and they don't like the way the system is, but they've got stuff coming down the pipe with the rated battleground stuff and arena stuff, so they can wait for that. A lot of people are bemoaning the end game and that there's not enough stuff to do with the end game, but there's still plenty of things to do. So people are going to complain no matter what because that's just the nature of gamers. But I think there's a lot of people, just like you said, Wasim, you haven't completed Morrowind or anything like that. There's a lot to do and a lot of time, and if we don't get pressured like we can, like you did, Luke, just to back off and enjoy the ride for a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I came back actually in 1.2 because they addressed a lot of things. I love customization, and I hated not having add-ons, and there were just a few things that was one of the main things. Is I was so used to, in WoW, I used to use about 100 add-ons, and not having any in SWTOR kind of frustrated me a bit, and that's one of the things that brought me back. So.
That used to be a mini game in WoW for me also. I mean, when I get bored of the leveling. Now, one thing we talked about with the rush, with WoW, even now, when I get into WoW, I rush to level, and then I rush to level to do what? To do dailies? No, then I usually roll another alt because I don't want to get into a big raiding guild right now and all that. But anyway, yeah, so one of the mini games I had is I would take time off from my leveling and all that, and I would actually spend a week or so tweaking my UI, grabbing different mods.
More than half of what I did in WoW. It's like when I went back to WoW this past spring, I got to level 85 in under 2 days of gameplay. So that's showing you how much I enjoyed the story. And then,
just go right through it.
I spent about 2 days. I spent under 2 days of gameplay leveling, and then I probably spent about 2 days of gameplay customizing my UI. And then I spent, I don't know, a lot of time just PvPing, and that's probably what I did when I went back. But what you said regarding this game, all these MMOs have a lot of different, they have something for everybody, They have PvP, operations, questing, story, collection of pets, I was just explaining this to somebody who's never played an MMO, and I told her, hey, if you want to play, these games all have these different avenues for different people that like different things, and they all have their strengths, Like SWTOR, one of its biggest strengths is story, and if you love Star Wars, if you love a good story, if you love a good role-playing game, Star Wars is a great game to do that. So. And that's kind of what I'm coming back for, is to kind of just enjoy that. And I'm going to try not to play a bunch of alts, but I'm going to try, I'm re-leveling a new character. I just completely abandoned my level 50 on the old server. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. And I'm leveling on a new server with a larger population, and just kind of enjoying it and taking my time.
Well, unless you have anything to add right now, Wasim, because we can talk about that, because we were very fortunate, but I don't want to interrupt if you've got a thought on what we were already talking about here.
No, go ahead, please.
You mentioned server population. Back when BioWare put together this whole pre-launch system for guilds and stuff, it was an interesting experiment, and I think it worked okay. Well, it worked okay for us, although I was very concerned. We were going to an RP server, which RP servers sometimes tend to be less population than PvE servers and whatnot. So then they had this whole mix where they had the RP PvE guys in here that didn't get assigned anything through that system. And so the big fear was that there would be a whole bunch of them that chose the servers we were on, and the moment that the game went live, that they would just go to that other server and leave a big void. Well, we didn't have that problem here. We're on Brook Lamar, and Brook Lamar is a very stable and strong server. It's got a huge population still playing now. I mean, there's always, at least 80 to 150 to almost 200 depending on the time on fleet, and so it's very solid. But then I hear about guys like you who ended up on these servers, and some of them people ended up on these servers that had these really cool names, and now you can't find two people to throw a stick at on a fleet. So what do you do? I mean,
well, when I first started, I made a guild. We got imported to a server called Black Vulkers, just a regular PvP server, West Coast. And you think PvP West Coast, oh, it'll probably be good population, And I don't think there was any other way BioWare could have done it because there were such a large amount of people starting right at the beginning.
They would crash servers.
If you would have had less servers, there would have been big issues with that. But I mean, unless you completely redid, and had one giant server, kind of like what Guild Wars is doing. I don't know 100% how Guild Wars runs it, but with this traditional server method, I think BioWare went at it right, but I think they're gonna have to address it in the future, and I think they might try to with transfers, maybe mergers.
I don't know. I've not heard if anything's coming down the pipe for that. But like you said, if they had fewer servers, they would have ran into the same issue that Rift did when it came open. And, oh, man, the amount of people complaining about the queues when trying to get on to their servers in Rift. And that was almost a week solid of disgruntled gamers. So
I know they've addressed. They said server transfers are one of their highest priorities right now, and that's probably going to be coming one point.
From what I heard, it's coming early summer, so it might be June, hopefully.
It should be soon.
I wonder if it's going to coincide with 1.3.
Yeah, I have a lot of questions. I mean, I wonder about the server transfers because right now there's a handful of servers that are full, or better, Ajun Paul, Fat Man. Fat Man's the top one right now, and that's just a PvP server, I believe. Then there's Ajun Paul. I forget. I think it's East Coast. Yeah, there's Ajun Paul. There's Jungma. There's a handful of servers that are towards full, and sometimes there are queue times, but very rarely, and those queue times aren't too long, maybe 15 minutes tops. And I re-rolled on Ajun Paul actually, just so because my server was dead. I went on it one day. No one was on it in the guild, and there were hundreds of people in my guild, but nobody was on. It's just like forget this. Yeah. Leveling on a different server, and decided to level on an RP PvP server. Because I've never done RP, but I thought it'd be fun maybe, and the communities tend to be stronger on an RP server sometimes, and I decided, and it gives you
more dramatic.
Yeah, it gives you being on an RP and it's an RP PvP server. It'll give you opportunities to do RP PvP, so like community events that are RP.
How's that worked out for him? Because I know in WoW, being the biggest game that I have, the other exposure to that has these breakdowns, because Lotro, they just had servers, and they have designated ones now, but I know in WoW, when you had an RP PvP designated servers, they tended to just become a PvP server.
That's kind of what's happened, I believe. I haven't really played it a lot on Ajun Paul, but with Ajun Paul, I've heard that there's some big names that have kind of rolled on Ajun Paul, and those aren't really RP names; they're kind of PvP names. And they rolled on Ajun Paul because it's community PvP, and I think a lot of people saw these big names. They're like, oh, let's go PvP with these people, and that's fine. And I understand the reason for joining those servers, and I completely agree that they did that. But I don't think there's a lot of RP on maybe like on Ajun Paul. But I've heard like Jungma, which is another server, an RP server. That's supposed to have a pretty good population for RP because before the game even launched, there was a lot of talk and just deciding that a big RP community would
Well, there
go
was
over to that.
there was
So.
a huge coalition of guys that were trying to coordinate, and I actually sat in on a couple of their meetings when they were doing this, and they were really serious about it. So I'm glad to know that that's still going on this far down the line. Because we're looking at 6-month bracket here from release, official release date, not the pre-release. So in 6 months, this is where we're at. Where you and I kind of burned out. 1.2 did bring some more back to me. I mean, I wasn't ready to quit, but I was playing a little bit of WoW too, just to kind of fill the void. And so the things that 1.2 brought actually did help. And the legacy system, I actually like what they're doing with it, and especially since I have a lot of alts, it's kind of nice to have some of that stuff there.
What I'm trying to figure out, what I've been kind of thinking about is, since they're talking about transfers and things like that, and maybe potentially server mergers, how I'm kind of wondering how they're going to go about that, because server merges, that's going to make some people angry, maybe.
Server mergers are always viewed as bad, and no matter how they spin it, the community's going to
the freak out. So
nobody's going to be moved.
The transfers, which are inevitable, it's going to happen. They've talked about it. The question is, right now I'm playing on a June to Paul, right? I've kind of I'm halfway leveled. I think I'm 25 exactly, which isn't even close to halfway, probably actually. But I'm wondering if they're going to allow transfers, if they're going to kind of restrict the transfers. Like, they'll probably open up free transfers to low population servers. But there's so many low population servers. I don't know how they're going to do that. And I know there's these full servers that they're going to are they going to restrict people transferring to those, those Batman and Ajun to Paul? Are they going to allow people, because I think there's a big amount of the community that's playing on these low population servers, and they either aren't playing a lot because their friends aren't playing, or their server's kind of dead. If BioWare opens up server transfers and say, hey, you can pay $25 or whatever amount, to transfer to any server, if they say any server, I think a lot of these people on these small servers are going to transfer to these larger population servers and make the issue even more prominent. I think these dead servers are going to be even more dead, and I think the populated servers are going to become even more populated.
For that matter, from what I heard is they will allow free transfer for some servers, so that would help low population to consolidate the population on the server where actually it is a problem. And hopefully they will have to, I think they will have to close some server, because, you can't, it will be worse for the places where people are living from, so they really will have to close some. But the thing is, you said, community will be angry about that, but from what I see currently on the forums, they tend to be angry whatever they say or do.
Well, exactly.
That's a problem I'd like to address, because, for example, even when BioWare offered a free month, for whatever the reasons, 3-month subscription, people were angry and still not happy. What do you want more from? I don't know. I don't understand. How could you be more angry and more for no reason at all? I can understand that you have the game lacks some functionality or stuff like that, but still, I am having fun, and I don't see a reason to be such so rude and annoying on the forums. It's really
welcome to gamers community.
Yeah.
Well, I think that the outrage on that one stemmed from the fact, I think it was just poor choice of words that BioWare used in the beginning when they called it oh shoot, now I forgot the word, loyalty or something, and a reward for your loyalty, and then they made it to where you had to be, was it level 30?
It had to be level 50. I think it had to be level 50 or a certain level of legacy.
Okay, so with that, yeah, I had it because that's how I play. When the game first came out, I concentrated on my main character, Kalik, and I busted my butt, and I got him to 50 relatively quickly, but also paid attention to all the story along the way. So that wasn't a problem for me. I had my 50, I had my legacy, but there's some people, like in my guild, that were playing from pre-release or head start.
I think it was 50. At first they said you had to be level 50 or above a certain level, and then eventually there were people that had high levels of legacy, and then
they've been consistent. They've been loyal to the game, but
they didn't have a 50.
taken their time. Exactly, and it's like, what about us? So that was probably a little bit of a marketing snafu, and they fixed it. They resolved it, and they gave us the 30 days, which it's a big thing.
That's
glad they did.
awesome. I mean, I think it was kind of more of a. It wasn't as much of a loyalty, like, hey, thanks for playing. I think it was partially that, maybe a quarter of the reason they did it. I think more than half the reason they did it was, hey, we have UI changes now. You can customize your UI. Hey, we fixed a lot of different things. We addressed a lot of different things. Come back and just try it out, see how it goes. I think there was a trial for that, and then, I think that was another big reason they did that.
Now, you mentioned something about $25 transfer fees, which is what Blizzard charges. I don't see that happening anytime soon. I think the uproar would be too tremendous. Nobody's going to want to pay at this moment to get their characters off of a low population server. They're going to just be frustrated and complain about it.
I think they should do free transfers unless you want to transfer to one of these high pop servers.
Okay, yeah.
That's what I like. You can transfer off the high pops, and you can transfer from any of these low pops to medium populations. But I don't think you should. I think there has to be a limit to. You can't just open up free transfers to all the high population servers.
Right, you can't. I'm trying to remember. I was very surprised when Rift implemented transfers, and it was free transfers. And I think there were some stipulations on it, but again, Rift was another game that I got to 50, nearly on two characters, but definitely on one, and I just burned out and didn't want to go any further. So transferring was kind of okay since I was working on the opposite faction for a while, and the server I was on and I transferred easily. That was easy. I mean, if you're like me, you don't want to look at your account page on Blizzard and look at how much I've spent over the last 5-6 years, almost 7 years on character transfers.
I've transferred 15. I've transferred 15 times, so.
I think I've done it more than that, especially with 2 accounts and then 4 accounts family-wise. So yeah, but I wouldn't want to transfer. I mean, I have a level 50 on, and I forgot the name of the server, but it's Sith side, and it's on a fairly good server. It's where AIE ended up, Aliakta S, and I'm in Aliakta S there. And, possibly I would think about transferring over to my home server, because the one thing that I can't benefit with him is the legacy stuff, since I think I'm level 28 legacy now on Kaluk, and that's nice. I'm not there on there, but I don't know if I'd pay to transfer. I definitely wouldn't, because.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder how they'll do legacy transfer. Like, if they open up transfers, will you be able to transfer your legacy, or is your legacy going to be left behind? Because that kind of bogs people down to certain servers, Because if you, for example, you have level 28 legacy and pretend your server's dead and you want to play on a higher population server.
I would find a legacy that's across servers.
Yeah.
Although some people say, well, then I'll be tied into that name. And
yeah, that's another thing. So.
From what they say on the forums until now, it's basically when you transfer a legacy, you get benefits from the best. Basically, if you have unlocked stuff in the one you're transferring and you already have some on the one where you're transferring, you would have the merger, and you get all of the maximum you could get from both. Okay. So that's a good thing. From one thing I'm a bit afraid of is I hope we could transfer more than one character at a time, because, for example, here I have all my 8 slots already filled just for naming, and I know I have one from every advanced class, but I would like to be able to take everyone my full legacy, and that means all my 8 characters from one server to another, and not just one to another. It wouldn't make sense for me, for example, if you would have to transfer character by character. I don't know if you feel the same about that.
The legacy system is definitely something that we've not seen in any other game, and that also produces some technical difficulties for them with that very thing, because they're making it, especially with patch 1.3, which I want to talk about here in a second, some of the more the beneficial things that they're adding to leveling, XP gain bonuses and things like that. You're saving those names right now, and you plan on leveling them. Transferred your main off, and therefore there goes your legacy. Then what happens to those tunes there? So yeah, I know what you mean. Then there's the whole issue of what are you going to do with guilds. I know a lot of people are complaining that there's not a real reason to be in a guild, but then there are some of us that are in some fairly healthy guilds, and if they closed a server on a guild, they're going to have to transfer that whole guild lock, stock, and barrel, especially since we have guild banks now, and you don't want to interrupt that because that's a lot of work that people put into things.
Yeah, it's got to be way too technical for them to merge servers. I mean, I personally, I think they should just do it and cut it. I mean, it's got to be really technical, but I think it would really benefit all these low-pop servers, and maybe if you open up free transfers, some people can transfer to even lower population servers, you know, if people really enjoy that type of thing. But I think it's a minority of people that, out of the big picture, it's a very small amount of people that really enjoy small population servers, and I think if BioWare could find a way to just, you know, cut down, take all of the bottom, you know, and just cut, maybe, I don't know, merge 3 servers together, you know, if you could. And
I think when they will be doing the free the transfers, there will be free transfer, but only from to some selected low population, well, a bit lower population server than and not the high pop. That wouldn't make any sense to allow people to go from low to another low, or not be able to have more people to play around. That wouldn't be beneficial for us as player, and that would be beneficial for BioWare as a company to have us do that. So,
however they do it, let's hope they figure it out, because there's a lot of people complaining on the forums, I guess. Of course, I don't go to the forums anymore. I'm sorry.
I think a lot of people have re-rolled, though, too, you know.
Yeah.
If it's that much of an issue, I think a lot of those people re-rolled and
complained.
yeah, complaining. What I would advise you, just stick to the developer tracker. That's what I do. I try to not go to the general discussion, because it's really not a good place to be there.
That's right.
Yeah.
So pretty much any game, official forums can become a hive of scum and villainy.
I don't really follow a lot of upcoming things necessarily. If they're big, I'll see like the big posts about new features that are coming, but I'm not gonna follow. I don't generally follow developer things and all the little bug fixes and things like that. I just kind of play and see what happens.
Well, and here's the sad thing that's going on, because we're not getting a lot of news that's put out there by fans either. I mean, if we think back to when beta was going and how active our G+ community was on SWTOR stuff alone, every time we'd get a morsel of news, whether we found it on Twitter, Facebook, or we read it on the forums, because several of us were just news junkies trying to suck it all up, and we blasted out there. I mean, we had a big community that was passing this information around a lot. Now it's dwindled down, and people aren't as excited about it, and that's a problem for BioWare and for the game, because you want to foster that excitement to get people involved in it again. I mean, because the break I'm on right now, I didn't even know that there were talk about 1.3 already. I'm still processing 1.2 in my head, and then I think I saw it across Twitter, which I hadn't touched in a while, but I loaded it up the other day because my job searching and all this, and I saw Darth Hader post this post about this primer on 1.3 updates, and they're just updating it as things come along. And there's some things in here that excite me that I would like to see in the game that is also controversial and people are going to talk about. You know, the first thing is, you know, the group finder.
Yeah, it's definitely coming.
It's definitely coming, and it's still server-based. So then we have the issue. You know, WoW decided to make their server, or they're looking for group systems.
It was server-based, wasn't it, first?
At first it was, but it didn't last that long, because they took their battlegrounds and they put their battlegrounds into the battle
Groups.
The groups, which was basically the server clusters that were made up on their server farms. And that was awesome for PvP, because back when you were leveling and wanting to level through Battlegrounds, queues didn't take that long. And even now, because it's worldwide, server worldwide for WoW, you queue even in lower levels, and you don't have to wait but 10, 15 minutes, which I remember back in vanilla, queuing for AV and taking all day before it popped, and then an AV match taking the rest of the day. So, but that was the epicness of those times.
There's a lot. I've kind of listened in on a lot of kind of big thinking regarding gaming and the 5 pillars and the community and things like that, and how group finders kind of take away from a sense of community because you're not looking, you're not, but I think I agree. And keeping them server based, I mean, group finder on one of those low population servers is still not going to even add that much. But on these big population servers, I could see, like right now I'm leveling, and if I want to do Mandalorian Raiders, the operation, not the operation. Whatever. If I want to do that, if I want to do that, it's sometimes a little tricky to find a group and coordinate through the chat channels, and it would be a lot easier to just look for a group with a group finder. And I'm a big supporter of it because it makes it a lot easier on people that want to experience content but don't want to have to go through kind of the difficult things in finding people in groups.
And that's just it. The leveling I'm doing right now, we've not done hardly any flashpoints. We'll do the first ones when you hit level 10 because you can do those as a 2-man team. But other than that, we've just kind of leveled through content, and we would like to do some of those other things, but trying to get a group together is sometimes hard. And then the 4-man group, bless them for doing that, but at the same time, I am finding, I don't know about you guys, I'm finding a 4-man group can be a little difficult to wrap your head around still and try to team up. 5 was okay. 6 and Lotro was probably too much. I'm not saying WoW had it perfect with 5, but 4 just seems like if that third person or the fourth person isn't pulling their weight or whatnot, it can make the difference between not having fun and being a good time.
This is true.
What are you going to do? But the group finder thing, what they've listed here so far is the new group finder system will allow players to find and join a party for flashpoint, story mode, operation, or mission content on a particular planet. Players will have the ability to choose between finding a group for random operations or specific de novo content. There will be an incentive for completing a daily random flashpoint, details of which will come later, which is typical. WoW does this. WoW, when you do your random, you'll get a nice bag, which will have the potential of having a nice blue item that will help you in your leveling and everything. So that's good to know. And players will be able to select in advance which combat role, DPS, healer, or tank, they're willing to fulfill. I'm sure that one was a little struggle independently because I know that for the longest time, things that Georg and them wanted is they never wanted to pin any particular roles down on certain classes. Yes, there are some that are specifically built for tanking, but you've got the knights, you've got the bounty hunters, you've got the shadows that can all tank, and so it's interesting that they put that in there, and that's where the fun thing comes in with random groups is how many times we're going to use it again, WoW. Well, somebody who happens to be a warrior or a druid or Death Knight, they queue as tank, but they have no tanking gear, no tanking experience, and they all just wanted to be DPS because they know if they queue as a tank, it's pretty much an instantaneous pop on the group because tanks are in such high demand. And so then you get in there and they go, oh, I can't tank, and you can't kick them out right away, and you're stuck in a group that's fail. It's like, thanks, you're an idiot. But, I think the group finder is going to help in seeing more of the content because I would love to see Georg's metrics on how much the flashpoints and non-story-driven leveling content is being actually used right now because I know I'm not using it, and I wonder if we're in the majority or a minority there. So.
Well, for the high-level ones, we have some difficulties to finding people, but for we are cheating on the low-level ones. I always have guildmates that bring the level 50s to help me through low-level flashpoints.
Yeah,
but,
and that's
for the
fun.
high levels, really difficult to find people, really.
Yeah, yeah, because they're busy doing dailies. They're updating the legacy system. It'll see another major expansion in 1.3. Some of the most exciting additions focused on providing alternative ways to level. You can actually see a lot of these things in-game right now when you look at your legacy panel by hitting the Y key. You can see all the things saying coming soon, so those are some things that you can look at. Evidently, they're adding the ability to add augmentation to gear, kind of like a crafting thing. So that'll
One
help.
second about the legacy stuff. From what I read, it is some part of the new legacy things will be per character and not legacy wide.
Right.
I don't know how specially and what kind of feature, but apparently some of the feature will be only for a character where you unlock that thing. Probably it will be, I think, the experience bonus or PvP Valorant bonus when you do Valorant. That kind of thing, I think, will be tied to a character and not to legacy wide.
Okay. Well, I can see them doing that. That will then force you to. It's kind of a currency sink if they're going to use credits to open those up, or if you know some other resource that you need to do, because otherwise, once you unlock those, they're unlocked all the way around, and then there's not much of an incentive to do them. So I can see that happening, especially with the XP one. Well, I guess I don't know. The other example I have is with Blizzard. You've got the BOAs, the bind on account gear, that you get once, and then you pass it around from your characters. As
They're adding that. I know that. So.
Yeah. So, and that was the interesting. I've still not wrapped my head around the legacy gear that they gave us. They gave us that token when you first logged in, and then you can earn the tokens along different ways. It seems, you know, I will say that the one I got on my shadow, or on my sage rather, it lasted quite a few levels, but I was really hoping for something like a BOA type gear that would level with my character, and then I could just pass it off. And besides that, it's locked to a sage. It's locked to, you know, a consular, and therefore I've already got two consulars. One's a sage, one's a shadow. What would I want with it for another? I'm not going to roll a third, and you know, I don't know.
I do understand that. Moreover, I think the Bidon Legacy gear is quite expensive for what it does. The thing is, when you, I can understand they don't want you to have a bonus for experience or valor on all your character, but as if you have already one level 50 character, you have on one side, you have seen quite a bit of the game. If you have a maximum valor rank character, you already have a lot, already done a lot of PvP. So for someone like me who likes to, I would like to have my 8 advanced classes at maximum everything. I would love that, and it would be more helpful to have a bonus. Once I did it on one character, I don't see why I couldn't have help for the 7 others.
Right.
Good luck maxing 8 characters.
Yeah, I know. I still didn't.
I don't think it's possible, actually.
I don't think it is as well.
With updates and stuff, no, it's not possible.
There's going to be some crew skill updates. David Hunt said that there's a major update to Underworld trading schematics in 1.3. It's possible that upcoming crew skill change will actually refer to that, the gradual introduction of more orange armor sets, or other steps being taken to opening up more armor to be viable in 1.2 and 1.3. I will tell you, I do like the orange armor that we can mod. It's been a toss-up for us. We've gone with quest rewards, and then once we get orange gear, we kind of just keep that up ourselves, which is nice.
They talked about in the most recent, the new Star Wars podcast, they talked about how they're making it so that you can pretty much wear any orange gear to end game, and you can make it so that it's the best gear. So one of the examples, you can become a tankini. You can be tank and being wearing a bikini if you'd like to. So
Yeah,
that's one of the things.
Let's all put our
small-
companions in the bikinis.
I'm a big supporter. Well,
of bikinis.
I'm a big supporter of, allowing the characters to wear whatever they want. That's kind of one of the reasons I'm playing Star Wars again, is because I love the fact that I can collect every piece of. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try to collect all these cool, different, different looks and outfits and things like that, and being able to customize them and being able to make. Oh, I really like this set of gear. I want this for my PvP, or I want this for my PvE set, So.
Well, he also mentioned that there's itemization changes coming. Daniel Erickson says, yes, adaptable social gear that automatically changes to your character's gear type is coming in Game Update 1.3. So then...
That's the tanking.
The social gear will change from light or medium to heavy, which will...
Tank in your bikini.
Yeah. Some stuff's happening in space combat. I'm sorry if I'm going to gloss that over.
Space combat won't be in 1.3, I think. It will be later.
And coming expansion to the legacy system.
They should just make that an expansion game. That'd be pretty cool. I thought, I don't know if I've discussed that, if we discussed it here in the TOR Hangout, but I thought it'd be cool if they came out with a whole nother expansion to the game that's space, it's exploring, it's, space mining, it's, it's not on the rail system, but I thought that'd be really cool to have a whole expansion. Well, that's way down the road.
Yeah. They also mentioned the Warzone's ranking system is coming, but they don't know exactly well. They say it's going to be rolled out prior to Update 1.3. I know there's a bunch of people looking forward to that, and that's cool. Operations and flashpoints. There isn't any new operation or flashpoint content currently slated to be released with the patch. The addition of the group finder should make it easy to find groups for existing instances. Not anything new to the UI. And let's talk about the UI once again. I'm a big fan of what they've done also, Luke. I do wish there was a little bit more that was in there. I wish that eventually they would open it up for UI authors, mod authors, because I've always been a huge fan of the mod community in WoW, and seeing what some of them have come up with are just genius, and a lot of them have actually been absorbed into the game because they had a great idea, they showed the initiative, and it probably helps some young people or even older folks who had the skill to make a way in the world to do something that they've always loved to do. Where we don't have that now, we can move the UI around, and that's awesome, but it would be nice to get a few more things in there for that.
I actually have a different opinion. Well, yeah, that's a whole other story. But regarding the UI, I'm actually pretty satisfied. I was surprised when I first opened it up and started messing with it how much there was. Because originally I thought there was just going to be, you get to move it here, you get to move it here, and that was it. But you can actually scale each piece individually. You can turn off different things. You can customize, the map angle thing so it can go top or bottom. And I really, really love the customization. The only one thing that I would wish they could do is you could make your player and target health bar thicker. I mean, you can change the party and the operation frame. You can change those. But I hate how it's so thin, and because especially when you're PvPing or being a tank and you have to really pay attention to your healing. I mean, well, I guess healing you have the operation, but when you really some cases you really need to pay attention to your health and your target's health, and I think that's the only thing that I have to argue. Now, opening up to mods, I've really loved all the add-ons that you can use in World of Warcraft, but I think there's a lot of things that should stay. I think if you open up too much, the game kind of almost becomes, for example, a macro, like a cast sequence macro. I don't think that's necessarily a good thing for the game. I think that there are some macros that definitely need to be implemented, some targeting macros possibly, things like that. But I think if they probably will introduce macros eventually, but I think they should keep it kind of limited and kind of cut out any stuff that can kind of oversimplify the game. So.
Okay.
Currently, on the UI, I quite love it. The only thing that is quite bothering me is when I'm playing a healer on my sword, and it's the tiny icons on the people where you have to know what kind of to dispel it or cleanse it. I don't recall the exact term. It's really small and difficult to gouge at first sight. It's really difficult to know when to use your ability to cleanse those things. So if there would be a way to have it a bit bigger or more visible, that would be
any
great.
harmful effects. We need a better way to see those, and also the
even positive effects.
Well, sure, or the ability to adjust the size of any of them individually. But another thing that I'm really missing is proc-based notification system.
Yeah.
Because like playing a Sage right now, a DPS Sage, there's so many things that are proc-based, and I really miss my on
power auras.
On my power auras light or power auras, and having it say, "Hey, this is ready, fire it, dummy." Instead, I'm sitting here looking at my bar all the time to see if it's active or up, or see if my hands glow or whatever.
Yeah.
Little things that would be a lot.
That's one thing. That is definitely true that they could implement that in the game, because this game is very proc-based, it seems like. From people I've talked to, a lot of the classes they're very proc-based.
Rift put that in from the get-go. You had the ability to adjust your UI and put your procs right there in the middle of the screen, as big or as small as you wanted. So, yeah, I really miss that in this one so far. There's no additional stuff to guilds. We got the bank. The bank seems to be... There's still some things that I have difficulty with the whole storage system in general. I would like a sort. I would like a better way to stack. You allow people into the guild bank and they can screw things up when you've got some people that have OCD trying to organize things all the time. Just little things, but they're just, they help you feel better about the game and everything else in it. There was talk, and it's not in these notes, but there was talk a while ago, and I don't remember who said it. It may have, I don't remember, but they were talking about capital ships and things for guilds, which would be something to help guilds feel more community-based. That would be cool, but it doesn't seem to be anywhere on the horizon.
That would be very cool.
Yeah, they talked about it on the guild summit, I think. But I think they have more priorities right now.
Sure. Well, that's right. This whole patch is a content light but feature heavy patch, and I'm surprised at how quick it's coming out, and I don't know why. It's probably not that quick as I think it is. It's just where my mind is right now.
I feel like they've really actually been implementing this stuff fairly quickly. In my mind, I don't know if it is like you said. No.
Yeah,
but it seems like they've been addressing some of these major issues fairly quickly. So
I think so, and I think compared to that other game, which is relatively slow at bringing stuff out, and their development cycle, of course, their famous line is it'll be released when it's ready.
When it's ready.
But then again, Rift, another game that I've talked about a lot. I could not believe at how fast they poured out even content patches and feature stuff. It was almost to a point where it was once a month you had some sort of patch that was introducing new stuff in that game. And so I think they found a sweet spot here, because I know that we've come this far into the game, 6 months, and there's a lot of stuff that's surfaced. They've already addressed a lot of it, and there's a lot of stuff to still address, and I think they're doing a good job. Now, if it's got the legs to last and keep going, there's been a few articles talking about the drop-off in subscription base and along those lines. I don't know. That's when people start trying to compare it to WoW, and you can't. It's unfair to compare any other MMO or any other game to World of Warcraft, simply because World of Warcraft was at the right time, at the right place, and did, for the most part, all the right things at the right time. They didn't do everything right, but that's why they are what they are, and it's actually an anomaly. And to think that you're going to be a WoW killer or another WoW, it's kind of silly. Just do your own thing, build your own product, and go. I mean, that's my opinion.
Yeah, I do agree with that. And another thing in that is yeah, the drop in players was to be expected. The game was highly expected and highly hyped. So, and it is Star Wars. Yeah, it's Star Wars. It's Star Wars. So basically, everyone would play it, even people that never played an MMO and just even for 1 month, and they stop afterwards. So well. That was to be expected. I would love to be million of other people playing with me, but still, that was to be expected. After several months, population will drop, and I hope that from now it will raise in the future. But that drop from the start was, I think, a thing to be expected.
Sure. I even told my officers in my guild about that when we started hitting at the end of December, or actually end of January, when you were hitting the end of the 30-day free that you had from purchasing the game. I told them all, I said, be ready for an exodus. We're going to lose people, and they're not going to be slamming the door and saying, I'm out of here. It's just going to be that type of
drop off. Yeah,
the drop off.
No, so that's gradual. Gradual.
And it happened, and
big time.
If you know about it and you don't panic, it's fine. But I agree with you. I think that somehow they've got to find a way to get the magic back, and I want to think some of it's community-based, but how do you keep the community involved and excited? We can continue to do things, and we're going to try to keep doing this every couple of weeks. I'm not going to promise to do it every week, but try to just engage people to talk about it, because it's a game we like. I'm also going to start talking about Elder Scrolls Online. Elder Scrolls Online. So.
And then there's Diablo coming out on Tuesday, and then there's Guild Wars 2 coming out, and then it's going to be an interesting summer.
We have attention spans of that big, so the fact that we're 6 months out and I'm still excited about this game because it's Star Wars, that's a big draw. And I still run into people that are new to the genre, new to playing MMOs. Like you said, they were either brand new to gaming across the board, or definitely brand new to MMOs, simply because it was Star Wars, and they probably saw it at Walmart or Best Buy or something, said, oh, this looks really cool, it's Star Wars and all this, and somebody's mom said, hey, let's get that for Jimmy because he likes Star Wars. And then we see these people running around that don't know what they're talking about or doing, and they ask seemingly stupid questions in general chat. And this is something I tried telling people from the beginning, is we're going to run into these folks, and it's how we respond as a community which makes the difference. If we act like the typical jerks in trade chat and WoW, then we're not going to do the game any service. But if we act like people who understand, yeah, you're new, you've never done this, yes, I've heard that question a million times, and it's a really simple answer, just answer them and help them, and you may actually find a puppy dog that'll follow you around, and you may not want that either. Anyway, you know what I'm saying, it's our responsibility to help the community continue to stay strong, as long as BioWare does its job and continues to give us a product that we love to play and want to champion. So that was my little plug, I guess, for community.
Actually, in the game, people were really helpful, and even on the general chat, people asking questions always got answers, and it's quite different from the forums. As long as people don't go there, it's okay. In the game, it's really enjoyable. Even with the community, it's difficult to imagine that it would be the same people speaking on the forums, really.
Yep. So here we sit at the juncture of 1.2 winding down, 1.3 coming. We don't know what's going to happen. I hope to still be excited and playing, and we need to do our part. I want to thank you guys for coming on. We'll get more people addressed. One of the things I think was the difference is if I were able to start this Hangout from my personal profile, I think everybody would have been notified more, and we probably could have got more people in here. Probably having to do it through the page caused to be a
maybe.
But it's all right. We had a great discussion. It's going to be on YouTube forever, or when you
whatever.
And thank you guys for coming out, and we'll look forward for you guys the next time we do it. And thanks everybody who's watching. We've got 5 viewers.
Oh.
Hi guys.
I'm sorry. No.
Yeah, thanks for listening, and we're going to go ahead and call it a night and put this one in the can. But thanks again, and
Yep, thank
y'all
you.
have a great
Thank you
evening.
for the
Yep, you too.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.